Okay, so welcome to this first breakout discussion. We will concentrate on the very first part of the analytical framework here. Maybe before opening the guided discussion, in the background note you received, you have to question, and then we will try to sort it out from this. Also moving from some questions that were raised before, but also just to briefly recall some of the key insights that I could not present earlier because too specific. I just very, very briefly, 5 minutes, just recapping some elements and maybe already answering one of the questions that was there, and then leave the floor to everybody to comment and discuss together. So maybe, Ciro, you can add the screen. Yeah, on this, the very first, yes, we say the objectives, so I will focus just briefly on some of the core elements, and then we will open the discussion. Otherwise, we will have a very, very few time. So just move on and please change the slide. Okay, so this is the matter at the end that we are going to discuss. So this part, the central part of the framework, while the other two rooms we will discuss the transversal and the key determinants. So please move ahead. So just to recap, for skill mismatch, I know it's a very, very broad concept, and we underline in the analytical framework its complexity and its multidimensionality, and the fact that is both the driver and the consequences of broader structural inefficiency in the labor market. So the complexity and multidimensional characteristic of the phenomenon is well underlined in the framework, and this bring forward diverse theoretical perspective, diverse measurement approaches, and the nature of data available that might contribute to the multiplicity of ways in which the concept can be understood and interpreted. Just to give you just an example of what we meant, we have a variety of formats that skill mismatch can present. So the framework is a framework for identifying how LMPs within the broader policy ecosystem might address skill mismatch. So it's not a framework per se on skill mismatch, but recognize that skill mismatch, as I said, is a complex and multi-dimensional phenomenon. Just thinking that, for example, the table that you have in front of you, we may refer to several different terms that in some way refers to skill mismatch. So talking about over and under education, over qualification and under qualification, over skilling, under skilling, skill shortage, surplus, skill gap, and so far. So this lead to challenges on understanding what we mean. So the framework warns policymaker that this is a crucial and complex terms that need to be approached with this understanding, but this lead also, as was asked previously by Seamus in the chat, to challenges in measurement approach. And also this is recognized in the framework. The framework itself is based on other two main analytical reports that further explore and dwells within each of the concepts that we are exploring, so allowing the repository and its technology infrastructure to extract all the elements that we can move on. So in a way, for the main challenges and around the concept of measurement in the analytical model, key macro approaches to the measurement of skill mismatch are included through a variety of methods that are recognized, just to quote someone, job analysis or the realized matches or the work self-assessment. So indeed recognize these issues, recognize these as challenges, and propose how this can be tackled and how this is part and which are the available data that may reflect these elements. Going on, Ciro, we also, moving to the scope of LMPs, we also underlined that LMPs have evolved from being primary intervention, reducing unemployment, to broader policy tools. So this is very crucial for us for the enlarging the scope of the framework, not only to specific LMPs, as I was presenting in the plenary, that directly target the skill mismatch. So one of our crucial question when developing the framework would have been, was exactly which are the LMPs that directly target this skill mismatches and who was not, but equally important. So defining the scope again is crucial for us, and just as an example of this, we covered, please, Ciro, different classification of measures, moving from the ULP database, so identifying policy classified as measures that include most of the activity associated with LP, but also policy classified as services that generally include employment services provided by PAS for job seekers, such as information, administration of measure and support, but also policies that fall under support that constitute many policy on the labor market that include how to work, maybe income support, unemployment insurance, and early retirement programs. So also on this, in this understanding, the framework fully consider all these three broad categories. And in addition, and relying on this classification and on the final objective of the EU-ALMPO project, this framework arrived to distinguish between three analytical groups of policy. I showed before in the plenary there were the three circle in the middle of the framework, but just to give you some more insight that could not be provided before. These three analytical group of policy are, as I said, LMP directly addressing skill mismatch that we identified as all the part of training measures, so institutional training, workplace training, alternate training, special support for apprenticeship in the means of training, but also job search assistance, so all the part that is related to information services and individual case management. So for us, these are all the LMPs directly addressing to skill mismatch. Then we saw the other circle that we took into consideration are LMP not directly addressing skill mismatch, but they might have an element, something that is related on that. So there are all the part on employment incentives, including the startup ones, but also the sheltered and supported employment. On this also there was quite a discussion among the team to include or not include, but ultimately also considering the attention that the framework gives to the micro target, including those maybe with some specific vulnerabilities, we thought that this would have been better to include, also not directly addressing skill mismatch, but most of these policies also have a training component that might support also the skill development and direct job creation. At the same time, recognizes that LMPs, as we said, are not in a vacuum, but are connected with other policies, so not LMPs, policy and intervention, and linked with skill mismatch. If we think to all the broader set of education and labor market reforms, all the, for example, curriculum modernization, reforms in higher education to better align with the needs, all of these are crucial for skill mismatch and skill development, and at the same time sectoral and industry-led initiative of skill needs anticipation and forecasting strategies that are crucial for the evolution characteristic of this kind of policies, as well as other elements that are also connected to the factors and the two transversal, so connected to the trends and to the factors. So this is also just to give you a broader understanding of what we included in the framework and could not be summarized. We will for sure circulate it. This workshop will help us to refine some elements or to adjust or to finalize the model, and then we could share and to get a much more answering. But just to ensure that everything is positioned, and we would like also to hear from your consideration about all this grouping and classification in these three blocks. What do you think about? The very last for just going in is about the target group. Yes, you can share, move over. This we are already discussing the plenary, but we said in the plenary the attention to the target groups, the warning to the macro level, unemployed, employed, and inactive. As I said, also these tripartite that usually are the major target group categories also identified within the EU-ALMPO database. We discuss if this part of inactive should be included or not, because of course inactive are those that are difficult to really outreach, and those are difficult to make intervention on, and so to support for skill development. But we decided to keep them, all the three target groups at this macro level, while posing a special attention at the micro level, identifying very different other smaller target groups within the very broad categories. So considering long-term unemployed, low-skilled work, different youth, but also, for example, within young people, the need that is a very specific target group, elderly workers, women, migrants, people with disabilities. That's why, as I was saying, also connecting with sheltered operation and intervention, and people with complex needs, multiple disadvantage, and so on and so forth. So all these elements need to be connected with different kind of skill mismatch concept and dimensions that we want to explore, and in which way and which kind of challenges this bring forward. So I think I would like really to finally listen to you. So I will stop here. There will be, as I said, so many, because now the model itself is already huge and is based on other two very important reports. But yeah, I would like to leave you the floor. So we say we can use these two main questions that we provide with you in the background note. This doesn't mean that, of course, you can start from the point that you think is more relevant, or from the elements that you would like to share in this room. But the idea is that you could help us to tell us if on this part there is a clear and comprehensive basis for understanding how the different type of LMPs interact with skill mismatches, with the different kind of skill mismatches, and if this proposed classification, so the three parts of policy interventions that we put, and the idea of moving target in a matrix that interacts between macro and micro level works for you. So these were the two main questions for reflection. But as I said, I would like to really like to listen to you. So I stop really. I spoke too much today, and I leave I don't know if someone wants already to raise some issues. I see already Cari, that, okay, Caria Di Basilio, that is part of the consortium. And then again, Shimus, again, I saw your answer, and Claudio Vitali, that is also part. So many answers. So I stop. Cari first, please.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, Flavia, I know I shouldn't praise, our own work, but your team did, I don't know what Sylvia and Ellen did an amazing job. I think the framework is very comprehensive. Only comment I have is when you mentioned complexity and multidimensionality in the current context. Wouldn't it be good to put something about fluidity or dynamism, because it's such a rapidly evolving labor market, due to the technological developments, blah, 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 blah. So, which makes it much more difficult. It's like a moving target in a way. And the other slight comment, one, the target groups, I totally agree with the broad categories, but for example, in each target group, like needs, there are so many different types of needs. In some countries, even graduates are needs. So would it be, maybe it's too much, to actually refine in these broad categories as they are. So that's my initial, but it's a very comprehensive framework, and well done to the whole team. I wasn't involved in this, but so I can praise them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Yes, so you mean more granularity even in the micro level? Yes, of course, absolutely. This is I noted, and of course also fluidity, dynamicity. All the idea of the arrows makes for us underlining the idea that there is this process that is going on, continuously evolving, continuously changing. So the idea of having this part of transversal dimension of trends and factors that are in the same turn evolving again should underline, but we can look at how to stress even more. Absolutely. Then I have Simusha. Yes, please. Of course, I was quick on the measurement challenges, but we know that are really, really crucial. And as I said, we included more detailed way all this aspect. Yes, please.
Thanks, Flavia. And Carrie, good to see you again. You're looking well.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Happy to see you. We are all friends. Thank you.
Sorry, Seamus, to interrupt. Since you said this, I say hello to Mario as well, Patrizzi, because he helped us with the set of project, Flavia, with the scenario. So nice to see you again. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Flavia, it's a very comprehensive framework. A couple of things just struck me in terms of the skill mismatches. It is as you show on the slide, it's multidimensional, but not all skill mismatches are equal. When it comes to policy making, policymakers, that's certainly not the case, because when you look at policy interventions around skill mismatches, they are predominantly or almost exclusively in the realms of skills gaps and skills shortages. Policymakers don't care about surplus over education, over skilling. They just don't. That's the reality. We have a paper published in the Journal of Economic Surveys where we looked at the policy interventions, and that's just the fact. So for the tool to be really effective for a policy making point of view, it probably has to focus more on skill shortages and skill gaps. And therein lies a fundamental problem in that the measurement of skill shortages, these external shortages, are very inconsistent across member states. There's very few consistent and reliable ways of measuring it. We have recently reviewed the literature on the whole skill mismatches. In 20 years, there was about 200 papers published on the whole variety of skill mismatches. There was 20 published on skill gaps and skill shortages. Skill gaps aren't measured effectively in any member state. So these are gaps in terms of the competencies of the existing workforce relative to their current skill requirements. That's going to be a major problem in terms of tackling and operationalizing the framework. And the other point I would make is that skill shortages, yes, policymakers are very concerned with skill shortages. These are these external mismatches where employers can't recruit, but I think you also need to distinguish between skill shortages, vacancies that remain unfilled because of a lack of suitably qualified candidates, and labour shortages. These are vacancies that are unfilled because of basically poor working conditions in particular sectors, employers not offering market wages. If you look at a lot of the unfilled vacancies in the care sector, in hotel and accommodation, these aren't skill shortages, they're labour shortages. So I think on that side of the aspect, it would be better to refine the skill mismatch approach in terms of actually where our policy makers actually going to want the information, and on the other side, it's what side. And I'm glad to see in terms of your active labour market policies that you're actually looking across the broad spectrum, not just around labour market activation on the unemployed. I think that's very, very positive. But yeah, I suppose that comment is not all skill matches are considered equal from the policy making point of view, and maybe that it would be better to have a more focused approach in terms of how the tool is operationalized to match the needs of policymakers. I think overskilling and overeducation is terrible. It's a lost productivity, but they don't care about it. That's just the reality of it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Seamus, and thank you. Yes, it's very good to see you again. Absolutely agree, and maybe yeah, we try to list most of them, and just to give floor to the concept of complexity and multidimensionality. But I completely agree that maybe we can acknowledge the fact that some of those terms are much more of interest for some specific target group, and maybe narrow a little bit down, or at least acknowledging the differences between what it can be of interest for different target groups that might be used or look at the framework. So thank you very much on this aspect. We will for sure take on board. Claudio Vitali from INAP, Italy. Thank you. Nice to see you also.
Thank you.
We are in a room of old friends. Thanks.
Okay. Obviously, I align with my colleagues on the general appreciation for the comprehensive approach, and it is a good basis to start and to favor the next phase of work. To be very shortly, and some more emphasis in certain part of the description could be useful to better understand. An analytical framework is not for researcher only, is also an instrument that can be disseminated in order to create early a better awareness also with policymakers, and this is really the problem. So some lines more in explaining the choice we made in describing in defining in our definition. First, suggestion or stimuli for discussion. The weight or level of mastery of non-cognitive skills is not sufficiently emphasized in the definition of mismatch. One can be unsuitable not for lack of skills, but for lack of ability to use the skills. This is one of the lessons, for instance, from PIAC or other research. So I think this can be taken on board when we redefine, for instance, the micro level of target group, and to take on board when we will try to list the measures we want to focus on. Second, there is a risk that is not clearly defined in the analytical framework to reproduce the frequent confusion between active and passive labor policies. The major part of policies we can observe are normally they try to integrate these policies, but in general, we assist at the phenomenon of incrementalism, not really integration. And this is important to evaluate and to redesign the policies in Italy. This is the case, for instance, of measures that we entitle under the title anti-poverty measures, and we mix them with intervention or training as conditionality. And this can create confusion and can create a difficulty in evaluation and in redesign processes. And second, when we speak about what kind of measures links to what kind of targets, we need an overall umbrella, and the overall umbrella is there is a need to increase the quality of the forecast analysis, because this is the origin of the problems, and probably the availability as a measure of longitudinal analysis of the effects on individuals benefiting from active policies can better address the policies. I'm not thinking about very long longitudinal, but at least a follow-up, what happens after 5 years benefiting, what is the relevance of training upskilling pathways you followed. So this kind of information can be useful, and I think we have to reinforce the paragraph when we mention this kind of needs analysis, forecasting, exercise, and so on. In general, I find a relatively underestimated geographical dimension, and labor market more and more transitional, especially at the local level and the regional level. So the LMPAs can be designed also considering this aspect, which is not considered well when we design, for instance, methods for profiling the potential beneficiaries. And another thing that I think we can better define, for instance, in the paragraph when we imagine that also guidance and counseling are lever for a typical level of labor market policies, I would find in the analytical framework a mention to the outreach activities, because what is important is it is true that we are not focusing on inactive, but the problem is exactly the inactive, the low participation to the labor market, but it is due also to the low participation in education and training. So outreach can be highlighted as a strategy. And on the other hand, in the major part of the European Commission or OECD or CEDEFOP documents, outreach is an important strategy. We cannot underestimate the importance. I found very interesting, and I conclude very interesting the mention, the quote on micro-credential from the colleagues from World Bank. This is a very important, because we need to understand better how we can use all the systems and methods to flexibilize, starting from the validation and certification of competence to individualize and personalize the pathways. This is a very big challenge for those that are in charge to design policies and to put resources on that. And obviously, this is linked to another another notion, which is the one of the individual learning account, which is another important policy on which we are discussing in Europe, how we can sustain this kind of solution, which is everybody understand the importance, but put on the table the problem of sustainability, economical sustainability, financial sustainability. If we understand the ILA as in the French terms, as in the France. So that's all. Thank you to all for your patience.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Claudio, for so many suggestions and food for thought for us for better improve and better refine some elements. For sure, many of the issues that you have tackled, we also had in mind, and we tried and to consider, but we can of course better finalize. We are taking notes, and then maybe see also, especially because we have to wrap up and then to go back to the plenary, then we can share some notes that we are taking, just to see if it's reflecting what we are seeing. Some of the aspects you tackled are indeed there, but of course can be further explored or further defined. Some aspect for the geographical dimension is tackled, especially within the part of the factors. But for sure, I'm the first. I'm an evaluator, and I follow the approach of realist evaluation. So for me, contextual dimension is crucial. Absolutely agree with you. And also this aspect of outreach, I think, is really important. As I said before, we had an internal discussion if including inactive or not, and then we say that yes, we cannot, as you say, skip them for sure, but we have to and so this maybe should be reflected also in which are the interventions that we can further develop on that side. I see, so stop, but otherwise it's me always talking. I see Ira Giorgio.
Yes, Ira, yes. Hi.
Sorry. Hi.
Thank you for all this discussion. It is actually very, very interesting and all, and it's really important issues that need to be tackled. I only want to add something that is, I think it's kind of linked to what Seamus and what Claudio just said about the motivation of the people to participate, to really engage, not just participate to gain the few euros that they will have more for the months of participation, but to actually learn and to actually join all these policies with an open mind of gaining something. And this is actually to feel that after participating in these programs, they will have something real in their hands in order to get into the labor market. And this means that if we are talking about labor shortages from the point of view of employers, for example, in Greece, people with really low skills, overworking in hotels during summertime, actually with more skills, overskilled actually, with a lot of languages, computing, but they have to do everything. With really few money, with staying with too many people in the same room. So obviously this is not a productive system that makes people want to participate in these programs. So we need to have a view, an opinion, a different production system in mind, and based on that, based on forecasting, as Claudio said, forecasting also in regional, at regional level, only then we have real job position, quality job positions, with security, with proper wages, with health and safety. Only then people will want to really participate and not just do it in order to get some extra cash. Thank you.
Absolutely agree. Thank you very much, Ira. These elements bring us to the also individual characteristic within the factors that we want to control. So not just the institutional and governance and all the this part, but also individual factors that are crucially important. So also I'm noting that also this part of individual characteristic and factors might be a little bit enhanced. Absolutely agree. Thank you. I see also Mario Patuzzi has raised his hand.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you.
Flavia, for this excellent presentation and amazing work you did. First, the whole issue, active labor market policy, is incredibly complex, and actually it's impossible for normal policymakers to comprehend entirely. That's my experience, my individual experience, but also the experience I have in Germany. Many policymakers are simply overwhelmed. But you address this challenge very well. I find your approach is very clearly structured. It identifies the key indicators, and therefore it's coherent and comprehensive. And I thought by myself, your approach can be used as a guide for action, both digitally and in real life. So during the presentation, also in the first part of this workshop, I thought about how we at the DGB proceed when we are planning political interventions. And we increasingly start by rolling out the field of action and identify which target groups we are addressing, what solutions we have in mind, which actors, policy fields, policy areas, structures, processes are involved. And I believe it will be necessary for users of this wizard to have a certain amount of analytical base work, groundwork, maybe already in place. So they have to they have to think about before they start using the wizard. And it's therefore I think this is notably to say you have to prepare yourself if you want to use your approach. That's very important. And I think it's also important to consider a combination of policy interventions. For example, the target groups could be more granular. That was said, but in regard to the policy interventions, we discuss in Germany, for example, synergy effects between training measures, for example, and validation and recognition of competences of sectoral and industry-led initiatives. Also in combination with, let me see, employment incentives. So there is always a combination of instruments which are classically ALMP instruments and non-ALMP instruments. And that could be a little bit difficult in using the wizard. But on the other hand, it's good to know what is direct ALMP, an ALMP instrument, and what is not so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. I'm really happy, and I know you are acknowledging the complexity of the issues and how many situations might open. But yes, I got also from previous elements the granularity to target groups that we can try to work more on that, absolutely. And this aspect of the combination of instruments that you were referring, I think is really crucial, and that moves us to include these three circle and not, because how can I say, the task that was assigned to us was to strictly stay on LMPs, and we realized we cannot just look on something that without considering the broader ecosystem that is surrounding it. So that we already opened that box and tried to make this connection, but also this aspect of maybe linking a little bit better target groups and different intervention maybe of help for policymakers. And I got also this comment. I think also Claudia before was raising it. Sure, I have to try. We have to try to leave the shoes of researchers and maybe trying to think and speak more directly to policymakers that ultimately might be the user of this, and we will try also on that side. Thank you. I think we are really getting there, but I see other two hands. I think we can take another 5 minutes. So I leave. I can't see K Jotop. I don't understand really the name.
Sorry, I'm
But you can,
Kostas Giotopoulos
Costas.
from
Oh, hi,
University of
Costas. So
Peloponnese.
sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, if we can keep, sorry for this, but a little bit short, and then Lucas Arend, so then we can close and maybe just recap with some points. 5 minutes, and we go. We are already making me signs.
No, I will be very, very quick. First of all, let me congratulate you because now I have understood several more things about active labor market policies and all these concept behind these interventions. I'm part, as you know, of the IT team, but my question has to do with granularity. Is there a point that, for example, in a specific case, we have several different types of ALMPs that could be suitable for a specific target group or for a specific problem, but it could be some of these intervention or policies could be more effective. So how do we depict this kind of different granularities for the same problem, for the same target group? Because I'm thinking the wizard now, as you understand.
Yes, of course, I understand perfectly. This aspect can be reflected also in the key determinants, also something that I'm discussing also in the room 3. But yes, on this, I got the point also for the wizard, and we can see how can we tackle the issues. Absolutely, thanks for this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, Lucas Arend, then we close. Just recapping. Otherwise, we have. I'm really sorry for that. It's very.
So my intervention will be quick as well. Sorry for not having camera, but some technical problems. So first of all, congratulations for very ambitious project and approach, and for the framework that you prepared. My only question is related to what Seamus already said. I just didn't catch at which level or in which way you will be considering the skills or skills mismatches, because as we know, there are different ways how to approach this. In most cases, we are using just proxies related to the educational attainment or other proxies, while some systems are using exact skills and skills descriptions, for example, based on the ESCO classification. So the question would be, what is your plan to deal with this? I mean, are you going to use the proxy of skills, or you will be addressing skills in a direct way by using, for example, ESCO classification? So that would be interesting to get to know. And once more, congratulations for the framework.
Thank you very much. Just quickly also from my side, the framework is meant to provide an indication of what is the complexity of all the issues that we have at stake. So for sure, as we said, we pointed out that skill mismatch is, as I was saying, multidimensional issues, and that according to that, when policymakers would approach that, should be aware. So the framework, in a way, is making a warning so that not all the definitions are the same, and that brings up some consequences on the way also skill mismatch can be measured. We are not going to measure by ourselves, so also for the proxies that we are maybe referring to the way how to use, you are referring to this taxonomy. We are presenting all the way that skill mismatch can be measured or is measured along across the literature and across the exercise, and make a connection between the definition and the way that can be measured. But we are not doing by ourselves. But I see that this point is not very well clarified, and so we can maybe yeah, no, without maybe we will try to put more attention on that and try to see. This is also an open question. I personally, apart from this project, made a huge project with CEDEFOP on that, how to really measure this aspect. And Seamus is an expert on that. It's plenty of different studies and papers on that, and it's opening a wide questioning on that. So we will try to, in an easy language, in an easy way, to reflect also this aspect more better. So thank you very much indeed. I don't know, maybe Ciro, can you share just a second? We had, I didn't ask before if some of you want to make the rapporteur, otherwise I assume it will be us, but if someone wants to recap is really welcome. Ciro, while we were talking, was taking some notes. Ciro, can you share your screen maybe that we can see?
Yes, I'm trying.
And if there is a volunteer, of course, otherwise we will do. Making it bigger, otherwise we see all your desktop. So just to maybe, I can go forward for sure. Something that came up was the concept of the evolution, importance of underlying fluidity and dynamics, importance you saw to, I'm a little bit blind, to stress the granularity at the micro level. This was pointed out by many of you, so this is important. I think we will need to do this. The other issues that not all skills mismatch are equal, and this bring forward what are
I'm
you
sorry.
bring
Okay.
forward several consequences. So refined focus of skill mismatch intervention. The most of intervention are on typologies like over-education, for example, excluding skills shortage and skill gaps. Maybe on this we can see, we can write, if you are all agreed, no Seamus, if I can interpret your thinking, saying that we should underline that not all skill mismatch are equal, and especially for some of them are much more of interest for policymakers, and each of them brings forward different consequences that we should be aware and we should consider. But maybe we can rephrase and not going so much on detail on the third point. What do you think?
Yes, I agree with you.
Okay, so maybe Ciro, you can the third bullet, maybe just saying not all skill, writing not all skill mismatch are equal, and the framework should recognize and explicitly acknowledging those that are much of interest for whom.
I think maybe just they're not equal in terms of both constraints on performance and in terms of how policymakers perceive them.
Okay.
And I'm making that point. For example, you have a horizontal mismatch in there. There's no evidence that affects anyone badly, for example.
Okay. Okay. And then I think some other issues that were raised was the confusion, the risk of that the framework can also still maintain the confusion between active and passive. I don't know if you have that. The more emphasis in framework descriptions is direct to policymaker, not just research, that clarify, increase the quality of forecast analysis, also in order to refine targeting at micro level, underestimating geographical dimension, more importance on outreach activities. Yeah, these mainly were several.
Yes, I also can move to the other page. There was still another contribution, and I can add these 2 points
Okay. How to reflect in the EA tool the granularity and complexity of intervention. Okay. So yeah, I think you noted most of the issues that we discussed, and we will take note. So unless some of you want to report, otherwise we will do in the plenary, and we will redirect, because I think all the others are already there, and we are. Oh, Simona, are we the last? I'm not sure, but I think it's already time. Yeah. So really thank you. Really very important insights. And as I said, I'm really happy because it will help us to refine. Just to clarify, but I will say later on, we are aiming to close the next month, and then forwarding, of course, and the next step of be in touch again on the next steps. But really crucial suggestion. So okay, so we can move. I think, or maybe no. Okay, one, the second are closed and are already in the plenary, while the other are moving now, right now. So maybe we can just reflect a little bit on this part of the forecast analysis, Claudia, that you were referring to. Is I'm just looking. Increase the maybe underlining more the importance of forecasting within the framework. We can write something like that. This is very specific, but maybe you can simply put underline the importance of forecast analysis also in order to refine. So change that to bullet point 0. Underline the importance of forecast analysis,
Yeah.
the importance of increasing the quality of forecast analysis. Okay. Something to add? We forgot something? Otherwise, we will redirect. Okay, so we will move to the plenary. Thank you really again from my heart. Really very helpful. Thanks again to everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.